Hey everyone, Kyle once again. Welcome back to the next movie review. Well, now back to another, reviewing film from last year, 2024, which I did not like. I knew I was not going to like it, and especially I was right. I knew this film was going to bomb as well, so. Yeah, number 10, it was my number of 2024 worst. Ridley Scott's Gladiator 2. You know, I gotta say something about Ridley Scott. This is why I think his brother is his brother Tony Scott is a much better director than he is. Rest in peace to Tony Scott. This is why, because I've liked more of his films more than Ridley Scott. Because I think which means I think that Tony Scott is a much better director than Ridley Scott, and Ridley Scott with this, I just say just retire from directing, please. I don't want to, or better yet, don't make any more of these big epic movies or time period piece movies. However you call it, I would say epic movies that they're called. Because epic movies are takes on different time periods, in back in the hundreds of years ago. Just retire from directing, because the last good film I've actually seen from him, it was back in 2015. That was called The Martian, which that was a good one, which was not an epic movie, which had a good cast, and I like some of the things he did that Ridley Scott with The Martian, and. So, and what he's done before, it is quite funny though. It is quite funny that every time when Ridley Scott, besides the first Gladiator, because he lucked out on that though. He lucked out on the first Gladiator, but every period piece or epic movie he's done has bombed. Except for the first Gladiator. I think he lucked out on that. So, yeah, but, other epics he did that bombed. 1492. Conquest. The one with the Christopher Columbus film. That bombed. He did Exodus. The one with Christian Bale. Of Gods of Egypt. That bombed. The Last Duel. That bombed. Napoleon. That didn't do well either. What was that? There was another. Well, let's say, like I said, Gladiator. I think he kind of lucked out on that one. But a lot of the epic ones he did. Once again, I just want to be sure because I don't want to feel like I don't want to miss anything. Yeah, okay. Exodus, Gods and Kings, not Gods of Egypt. I was getting confused with the Gerard Butler film. Yeah. So Napoleon, Last Duel, Exodus, Gods and Kings. Yeah, Robin Hood, the 2010 film Robin Hood. Yeah, Kingdom of Heaven. Yeah, 1492 Conquest of Paradise, that's what it was. Yeah, all those ones bombed. And this one too, because this film costs about from 200 to 300 million. But that takes into the account of marketing, and all that stuff. So, and plus with all that, it has to make range from 600 to maybe 700 million to break even. And it didn't even make 200. It made just under 200 million in the U.S. under, and worldwide about a little over 400 million. So that's not good. So it's not going to even break even. So to me, yeah, that's a bomb too, you know? It's really, Scott, just stop making these big epic movies, alright? Just stop it, alright? As like, just recounting, you know, other films from Ridley Scott. I mean, Alien is his best movie. It's my favorite movie of his. It's his best film. Alien. Blade Runner, which I do like, but I don't love it though. But I think that I think Ricker Hauer, I think he did a great job. I like some of the set piece. I like some of the production, the set pieces. I thought Harrison Ford was fine. It's not one of my favorite performances from Harrison Ford, but overall I don't mind the first Blade Runner. Legend I like. From what I remember liking that film because I think Tim Curry was good as the evil one. I forget that it was Satan, not the devil, or the devil. But Black Rain I enjoy. I do enjoy Black Rain. G.I. Jane, I think that's one of his more underrated movies with Demi Moore. Thelma and Louise. It's been a while since I've seen that. White Squall with Jeff Bridges, that was a flop. Hannibal, the sequel to Silence of the Lambs, I like that one. The first Gladiator, at least I think he lucked out on that one for an epic film that was successful. I wasn't overall the biggest fan of, but I remember that Russell Crowe, he did a good job, including Joaquin Phoenix as the villain. I like Black Hawk Down. Wasn't a big fan of American Gangster, though. Nor Body of Lies. The Martian, I enjoyed. To me, that's the last good one he's done. Then, of course, the prequel to Alien, Prometheus was shit. And same with Alien Covenant. It was even worse than that. To me, those are his worst movies. Prometheus and Alien Covenant. And then I haven't seen All the Money in the World or House of Gucci. I haven't seen those ones. Or The Counselor. I haven't seen those films though. But I just think that his brother, I enjoyed more of his brother's work, you know, Tony Scott. For instance, I love The Last Boy Scout. I love Beverly Hills Cop 2. Days of Thunder, Crimson Tide, Unstoppable, Men on Fire. The 2009 remake of The Taken of Pelham 123. Enemy of the State, The Fan. Domino was his weakest film. True Romance. Revenge. I think Revenge was not that bad. Was it Deja Vu that he directed? I think because it also had Denzel in it. I think was it Deja Vu? Spy Game. With Robert Redford and Brad Pitt. But I gotta rewatch that one too because I haven't seen Spy Game in quite some time. But well, there was more films I enjoyed more than Ridley Scott did though. So, and I think that Tony Scott had different. I like his style of directing, you know. But yeah, just I know I'm already how many minutes in, so like 10 minutes in, and I'm not giving to the film, but. There's nothing more to say about Gladiator 2 other than that it's pretty much the same movie. You know, your main character was a slave, recruits to become a gladiator. He wants revenge on the main villain, the leader, you know, and pretty much wants to unite Rome. But unlike in the first Gladiator, Russell Crowe didn't do that though. Here, the main character does, and it happens to be, and it turns out to be, spoiler, he's the son of Maximus. Maximus was Russell Crowe's character. So yeah, and which he's the son of Maximus, and also the son of Connie Nielsen, who comes back from the first Gladiator. So I'm like, wow. So Maximus, pretty much everything he did was pretty much pointless. But in this one, it's his son who pretty much united Rome. It just makes Maximus a sissy basically. 'Cause everything he did in the first one was, you say, pretty much pointless. Also, like comparison, like he also has a friend, a figure to help him. Like with Maximus, Russell Crowe, it was like Jamon Hunsu. Here, it's pretty much it's Denzel Washington, and I like Denzel Washington. He's a great actor. But his track record recently, his films have not been that good for me. I mean, I was never a fan of his Equalizer trilogy. I never was a fan of those films. Was I can't remember. Was I a fan of the Book of Eli? I'm talking about his recent films. I'm talking about his recent films. I think it was pretty much the Equalizer movies. I know that. I wasn't a fan of his trilogy, so. But I know he's gonna be retiring from acting soon. He said probably because he's got a couple more films, and then he's gonna retire. Which I know one of them he's gonna be joining in the MCU for the next Black Panther movie, for a third Black Panther. Which part of me is like, you know what? I don't like the Black Panther movies. I don't need to see another sequel. I don't need to see another sequel to Black Panther. No. But I like Denzel's other previous films. I like John Q. To me, was one of his best films. John Q. I like Virtuosity, which he also starred with. Speaking of Russell Crowe, he starred in that with Denzel. Glory. Or the films he starred in with from director Ridley Scott. I mean, not Ridley Scott. Tony Scott, like Crimson Tide or Man on Fire, Unstoppable, Take Impala 1, 2, 3, and I think it was Deja Vu that he worked once again with Tony Scott, yeah, because he was a frequent collaborator with Tony Scott. Yeah, but Denzel Washington, he's a great actor, like I said, I wasn't a fan of American Gangster from Ridley Scott. That was getting confused about. Because that's when he wanted to work with Ridley Scott again, because from American Gangster. Yeah, but Denzel, I mean, he's great. He's doing the best he can. It was an easy paycheck. It was a paycheck for him. Pretty much part of the budget was getting him in there. But I was getting back to the comparisons. A figure that helps him. That, like I said, first film we do was Jamon Hunsu. Here it's Denzel. So it pretty much follows pretty much the same plot as the first movie. That's what I'm saying. It's pretty much the same movie, but almost 24 years later touch up. But the thing is one thing is for a film that costs so much money, pretty much up to $300 million, the CGI. Why does the CGI look so awful in this? Especially the animals. Like we have CGI baboons, which by the way. That's a way. Not only the CGI of those were horrible. If I want to see a killer baboon, I'd rather go watch. There was a horror film called Shagma. It was about a raging baboon, and it starred Roddy McDowall. I'd rather go watch Shagma. If you haven't seen that film, it's a film about a killer baboon. But that was bad CGI. Of course, the scene you saw in the trailer where the gladiator's riding on the CGI rhino, where Paul Mescal, who's your lead, throws the dust in the rhino's face and he gets out of the way. And of course they'll see it where it's the water in the Coliseum where these sharks are, and which pretty much yes, there was a time where they did fill the Coliseum up. Back then, they filled up with water, and they had their battles on boats with the Coliseum filled up with water, So that was an actual thing. So, if people say, "Oh, how inaccurate," the Coliseum wasn't filled up with water. Yeah, they did back then. Yeah, so that's one thing that Ridley Scott was so adamant about. He wanted to make it more like an accurate thing, where stuff like that. So, the seat, even the back. Sometimes the backdrops are of green screen. Well, I think like I said, he tried to do a mixture with real landscape and green screen. But whatever it is, green screen is bad looking, especially the CGI on animals. I mean, the first Gladiator, which I give props to, because there was a scene where they used real tigers. They used real tigers. Here they gone to this bad CGI shit. Film that they just caught pretty much quadrupled the first film's budget. It's just funny because with the amount of money they put into these movies, you're supposed to make effects look better, not horrible. That's one thing. So yeah, the bad CGI. It's like effects you would see straight out of a video game. When I mentioned Black Panther, like the first movie, that scene where Black Panther was fighting Killmonger, and the third act, that was like video game effects like that. Especially when I see in the animals in this. So, but it's pretty much, like I said, there's not much to talk about because it's pretty much the same movie. Like I said, Paul Mescal, like I said, slavery. Denzel Washington sees him, buys him up, sees his potential and wants to become the Gladiator so he can get revenge on the person who killed his wife. It was his wife, yes, his wife, and the villain. Well, one of the villains actually turns out is, but one of the villain is the general played by Pedro Pascal. It's kind of funny. They both have similar names: Paul Mescal, Pedro Mescal, Pascal. Yeah, so he wants revenge on the general, played by Pedro Pascal. And they have these two. I think they're the twin brothers. I think they're playing the same actor, Anthony. No, Joesph Quinn. It was Joesph Quinn. He's the guy who's going to be playing the Thing in the MCU, in the next upcoming MCU of the Fantastic Four. And speaking of that, that's what Pedro Pascal is going to be. He's going to be Mr. Fantastic, which, to me, he does not look and fit the part of Mr. Fantastic. I don't buy Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic, as this considered one of the smartest characters in the Marvel comic books. I don't buy him as that though. So, and plus, there are a couple of things I don't mind. Pedro Pascal. I mean, I enjoy him in The Mandalorian. I liked him when he was having that bromance with Nick Cage and his, the talented, the film that, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, where Nick Cage played himself and he was with Pedro Pascal. I didn't mind him in that movie. I know I haven't seen him in the Last of Us TV series. I haven't seen him in that though, and I didn't mind him in the second film of Kingsman: The Golden Circle as Whiskey. So there's a couple things I don't mind Pedro Pascal in though, but just like he's like Bill Skarsgård. He's got to be cast in everything nowadays. Although if I had to pick, yes, I would pick Pedro Pascal over Bill Skarsgård, because maybe Bill Skarsgård is much worse than he is. So, and so it's pretty much the same thing. There was a guy in here who was in about a few scenes, but then he dies early. Which Peter, played by Peter Minish. I remember I've seen him before. He's been one of the film I've seen him in, but I know him more back then, growing up. I remember seeing him. I remember the most from Jason X. He was the character Bronsky. He first, he's like. Stab Jason's like, it's gonna take more than a poke in the ribs to bring this old dog down. And then poke again. Yep, that ought to do it. But he didn't die though. But he ends up sacrificing himself when he brings him Jason into burn up in the atmosphere. So yeah, Peter Minish from Jason X, and I know there was another film I saw him in though. I forget though, but But I remember the most growing up, it was from him from Jason X's Bronski. He's in this, okay, cool, but he dies early though. He was like in a few scenes and then he dies. Oh, that's right, I forgot. Yeah, the film I remember now. He was in 300. Yeah, it was 300 I saw him in. It was in that famous scene when Gerard Butler says, "This is Sparta," and he kicks him into that hole. That was him. Yeah, I remember it was from 300. From that scene. So yeah, as I remember him, yeah, but then he dies early, and he was only in a few scenes, but then he dies early. So, and then they try to do these callbacks, like these flashy backs, and then because remember Russell Crowe's character Maximus, he's got to get mentioned pretty much like every 5 minutes, because you're his son. He was his big figure, when Connie Nielsen shows him his gear, his shield, his armor gear, and his sword. Because remember, we still gotta make sure this is still the sequel to the first Gladiator. So and then like I said, he becomes the gladiator. He led the scene where with the guy riding on the rhino. He does the dust, throws it in his face, blinds it, and then decapitates the guy. Which there was a decapitation already in the first Gladiator. Like I said, it's basically it's like I'm getting deja vu because I'm pretty much watching the same movie only with a 2024 updated paint job, basically. So, but spoilers though. But you find out that pretty much like Denzel Washington, he's pretty much the master manipulator, And I think that Pick up. One second. Because it was regarding about Denzel Washington's character. Yeah, he's loosely inspired. Yeah, he's loosely inspired by the historical figure Marcus Moringus, which I think back then I don't think, but I'm not saying this to be racist or anything. I don't think because he's one of those higher ups, right? I don't think that he for a black person was higher up back then because they were mostly slaves, But I think the figure that he's based on, I think he was white. So but it said they put him as black. Blaze. I'm not saying anything, but I'm just trying to be look. I'm just looking this up because I think it was because even thinking back then there was the whole racist thing. If people saw that, I don't know. I'm just pointing out though because I think he was based on a figure who was pretty much was white back then. So, but I'm like, even back then, like, wouldn't allow someone of that black person get that far up in the ranks and be like, I don't know. But it turns out you find out that he's pretty much the master manipulator who's been pretty much manipulating everything. Getting those two twins, I think there were. I think because they're both played by, I think it was about Joesph Quinn. I think it was. To turn them against each other, and then pretty much like also manipulating the general as well, Pedro Pascal. Which one of those it's like with the first film once again where they have the epic fight. Well, before that's when you get the epic showdown in the Coliseum where it's filled up with water with these boats and with the sharks in there as well. A couple of them die from killed with sharks, but a lot of times it's the boats just trying to ram each other, or they're both dodging, and all that. And which one that's another lame thing. It's just the action wasn't. To me, it wasn't up to snuff. It pretty much like the first movie was compared to. I mean, like I said before, they used real tigers in the first movie. Here they have to use CGI. They have to CGI the animals. That's pretty much they do nowadays. CGI the animals. I mean, it's like it also reminded me of that 2020 film with Harrison Ford, Call of the Wild, where the dog was completely CGI. They couldn't use a real dog, you know. Oh, because of the Humane Association or PETA or whatever, you know. It just makes the film look. It makes it look so cheap and it's so it just turns you off when you just see it's a CGI animal, especially when like that with Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford with a CGI dog the whole movie. It wasn't even a real dog, you know. It just turns you off, you know. So, but anyway, then was like a more comparison to the first film. That's when you get the epic battle between the hero and the villain, because Pedro Pascal, because he wanted to invade the North Africa. Which they try to invade invade in the first movie as well. Like, see, comparison, it's kind of like the first movie, you know. And then he gets Pedro Pascal, but it turns out that that Denzel, he was the real manipulator of the whole plan, you know. And he's the one who's going to be charged. He wants to conquer the Roman Empire. He wants to be the charge of the Roman Empire. That's what I'm trying to say. And he fires, and one thing to know, he does fire his arrow and he kills Connie Nielsen, and then that's when Paul Mescal cuts Denzel's arm off and then kills him. And he's the one who united Rome, you know, unlike Maximus did, which he failed, which that kind of made his whole upbringing pointless. Because he couldn't do it, but his son who was the one who rose up, you know. It just makes Maximus a wimp, you know. What he did in the first film was kind of pointless. Well, he did get his revenge on killing Joaquin Phoenix though, but the whole thing about the whole unite the Rome and all that stuff, you know, it has made him just like him look like the wimp, and now the son who's not. He's the one who united the Roman Empire. So I didn't get much into it because, like I said, you're watching the same movie. You know, it's pretty much the same movie as the first film with so many of the same comparisons. To me, and it didn't pan out well. The film bombed like I expected it to be, you know, and. It's just all the time it was just a waste of money. Once again, waste of money, waste of space. I mean, the lead guy, Paul Mescal, I haven't seen any other work he's done beforehand. So, I mean, it was the script or how he was told to do, you know, so I can't fully say that he's a shit actor. I can't fully say because I haven't seen his other work that he did beforehand. So, I mean, Denzel Washington is a good actor though, but this was just a paycheck for him. He did the best he can, but this is probably a huge paycheck because consider how much this film cost. I mean, Pedro Pascal, Connie Nielsen. I mean, they're just so, you know. But the film is like I said, it's the same movie. You might just call it a remake, you know. You might as well just call it a remake, but still a sequel, you know. It's like a requel, you know. Like it looks like it's a sequel, but it looks like a remake, you know, a requel. Because it looks like a remake because pretty much it's the same movie, but it's a sequel because the lead guy is the son of the lead character from the first movie, hence Russell Crowe. So it's kind of like that, though, right? I mean, like I said, the effects for the most part were just, especially on the animals and other stuff, it was just awful. Like I said, just can't do anything practical anymore. And for I think even the blood was CG. Yeah, because which I would not be surprised because that's all they do nowadays is CGI blood as well. They can't do anything with practical real blood squibs and all that stuff. I mean, I think even the first Gladiator was like had real blood squibs and stuff like that. And like I said, they use real tigers, and just. And also another thing, that film got Oscar nominations. Russell Crowe won the Oscar for Best Actor, and that film won Best Picture as well. I guarantee you, well, I can't guarantee that because films nowadays, they get Oscar nominees. They'll nominate anything because, hey, Barbie was nominated for a bunch of Oscars, and speaking with Black Panther, that got nominated for Oscar for Best Picture. So I can't guarantee because they'll nominate anything for Oscars nowadays. So I can't guarantee that. I wouldn't be surprised if this gets any Oscar nominations, but it's gonna win. I don't think it won't win Best Picture, but I don't think it won't be nominated. Well, we'll see when the nominations coming out though. But screw the Oscars because I don't care about the Oscars. I don't care about any of these award shows anymore because how too PC they become, and all that stuff. That bullshit you can say. So, but it's just really, Scott. Stop with these epic movies, okay? You only got lucky with the first Gladiator film. Every big epic or period piece film you did has bombed, okay? Dude, pretty much the ones to me that are worth a shit, was Alien. I'll even say Blade Runner, okay? Because I overall like the movie, but I didn't love it though. But I know it's been a classic it's been called a classic over the years. So yeah, I'll even pick Blade Runner, The Martian, Black Rain. What was the other ones he did? Because those are the ones I enjoy like the most. Yeah, Black Hawk Down, Hannibal, G.I. Jane, I enjoyed. Yeah, so the ones I enjoyed the most from Ridley Scott was Alien, G.I. Jane, Black Rain, Hannibal, Black Hawk Down, The Martian. Yeah, I'll even put Blade Runner on there as well. But just the epic, like I said, all these epic or period piece films he did as bombed, and plus his prequels, Prometheus and Alien Covenant suck ass. They can kiss my ass, and those are his worst movies. This is why I think that to me Tony Scott I picked Tony Scott that he's a much better director. I just wish that he was still alive. I would like to see more of his films we do. Would he work more films with Denzel Washington? Probably. If he was still alive, though, sad to say. Basically, I would say from Tony Scott's films, The Last Boy Scout and Beverly Hills Cop 2, those two films alone from Tony Scott are better than pretty much all the big epic period piece films that Ridley Scott has done. Easily. All the epic time period piece films I've named from Ridley Scott, Tony Scott's two films of The Last Boy Scout and Beverly Hills Cop 2 are much better than any of those movies. Easily. So, yeah, Gladiator. I just didn't. I hated it. That's why I picked it as that's why I picked it as number 10 on the list as the worst of 2024. It's because it became what I expected. A huge bomb, and it pretty much it's the same movie as the first film. You can say it's a requel, a remake, and a sequel. But it's pretty much kind of like a remake. It's pretty much the same movie. I don't know, the same comparisons. Like I said. So, yeah, really, Scott, just stop with these movies, please. For the love's sake, for your own sanity, stop with these epic movies because every single one of them you've done has bombed. So. But anyway, that's Gladiator 2. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more. We'll see you next time. Later.